was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall.
Hello everyone, and you're very welcome this Tuesday to the Football Lounge. I am your Master of Ceremonies, Rebel, and I am joined, as always, by the one, the only, FTSN Column. How are you doing on this Tuesday, buddy?
I'm doing fantastically well, thank you. Just come back from a long, hard day at work, so happy to get back on and talk some football.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, these 4D weekends, they're great when they happen, but they're an absolute killer because, you know, as Bob Geldof would normally say, tell me why I don't like Mondays. They make me feel that way about Tuesdays.
100% agree there, 100%. Nice 4 days off and then wake up and you're like, oh, back to work.
Yeah. But, you know, as always, you're normally joined by a man from down in South Africa, but I tried ringing him today, and he's been dodging my calls. It sounds like he's got a better offer.
Well, you know, I know Leicester are looking for people. Maybe he's got a phone call from Leicester.
Do you know what? It's like you're reading my mind. We do need to talk about Leicester. But before we do that, Mr. Jurgen Klopp, man who has seen multiples of success at Liverpool FC, of late has been much criticised for the business that Liverpool have been doing on the pitch. Now, Liverpool fans themselves have even admitted that their defence has been shoddy at best at times this season. But to make a comparative to the end of the Fergie era at Manchester United, our defence started to show creaks once our midfield started to wane. And Liverpool's midfield this season has fallen from a top-tier midfield into a team's midfield that looks like they are getting ready for a mass retirement party.
Well, when you look at the age of the midfield that they've got, I mean, Jordan Henderson, you know, he's 30, I'm going to say 31, 32, or, you know, pushing those ages. James Milner, you know, the evergreen, is what people say. He's getting old now. Fabinho. Now, all these players are all getting on now, so they're going to have to freshen up. I know they have brought some players in, you know, people like Diaz and, you know, these kind of players, but it's not enough to replace what they already have because these players aren't quite up to the level of what their older players were when, obviously, you know, there was competing for the last couple of seasons. And obviously, the other thing as well is, you know, your midfield is a massive part of your defence. You know, they help out the defence so much. So if your midfield has got cracks in it, then that's going to spread to your strike and your defence, which I think we're seeing this season at Liverpool 100%. I mean, Van Dijk looks a shadow of himself. He really, really does. You know, he looked like he were untouchable seasons gone, but this season it looks like, you know, anybody can get at him and anybody can beat him.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of the midfield, it seems like they could do with some rate in that Liverpool midfield. We, of course, are partnered with Rate. Use code FTSN22 to get your 10% discount. Thank you very much to Rate for that. But to bring it back to Liverpool Football Club and the way things have been going for them, we know at this stage we've already had a record season for managerial sackings in the Premier League, and it is highly likely that there will be at least another couple of heads to tumble before we reach the end of the season, even though there's 9 games left in, or 8 games? 8 games? 9 games?
8 games, I think,
left in the current season. Jurgen Klopp would have been starting the season looking to have a title charge, push for Champions League win and do whatever they do in the domestic cups. I don't imagine he'd have been marked down much for falling out of them, but last season they were on for a treble of cups. They ended up with the 2 domestic cups. This season, they're going to end up with cobwebs in their trophy cabinet.
I mean, it's been a poor season, a very, very poor season. From where they have been to where they are now, it is literally night and day. You know, when you look at the way the season's gone, I mean, they can go on about injuries and everything as much as they want. Injuries hasn't caused this. It's the inability to replace players that they needed to replace. And they couldn't. I mean, Sadio Mane was one of the biggest players that they needed to replace, and they haven't. Yeah, okay, they've got Gakpo in now, but Gakpo came 6 months too late for Liverpool, in my opinion. You know, Gakpo probably should have been in there as soon as they knew that Mane was leaving, not 6 months after he left, or however long it was after he left. So yeah, Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool aren't winning anything this season. Liverpool will be lucky to even get any kind of European football this season because of the way the season's been. And I can't say that you can blame Klopp because I don't think his standards have dropped. I just think that Liverpool's just burnt out. The team is burnt out. You can go and have a look at the Liverpool squad, and we could do it like week after week, every single time. You can name the starting 11 because it doesn't change.
Absolutely. And I suppose when you look at that Liverpool team, they spent close to 100 million all in, assuming he reaches all the incentives, on Darwin Núñez, and they would have expected a large haul of goals, I suppose, to replace the goals that Mane would have been scoring should he been still at the team. And I'm actually surprised how much the lack of Mane being in the team has affected his counterpart, Mo Salah, because it looks like teams now are kind of saying, let's just focus on him, and if we shut him down, we shut Liverpool down.
Well, that is the case. I think it's been the case for quite some time. You know, whenever Mane didn't play, if he were injured or on bench or whatever, if teams shut Salah down, then Liverpool's attacking threat would disappear. It's only when Mane came on that teams had to focus on both sides then, which obviously worked wonders for Liverpool because, you know, you can't leave either Salah or Mane, free at any point in the game whatsoever. And then obviously when you had that Firmino in the midfield as well, in the centre forward role as well, I mean, you know, the front three there were dangerous. This year, like you said, it's only Salah they've got to worry about. Gakpo hasn't found his feet. Darwin Núñez couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat at the minute, you know. Everybody knows that I call him the Andy Carroll regen because he's just not living up to what he was supposed to be. Maybe next season we'll see a different Darwin Núñez, but this season it's been terrible. He really, really has. He hasn't lived up. He hasn't gave Liverpool that attacking threat that they actually do need.
You raise a very interesting point, and I'm going to compare Gakpo arriving to Anthony. Obviously, Anthony did a few bits and pieces at the start, but it's only now that we're starting to see him get comfortable with Premier League football at Manchester United. And I'm wondering, is the transitional period going to be something similar for Gakpo, and that they won't actually see the best of Gakpo at Liverpool until next season? But not focusing on Gakpo, looking at Liverpool Football Club, looking at Jurgen Klopp, looking at the tentative speculation over the ownership and whether the ownership is committed to building that next Jurgen Klopp team or even staying at Liverpool Football Club, would you be shocked if Jurgen Klopp walked away of his own merit at the end of the season?
No, I wouldn't at all. You know, I think it's going to end one or two ways. I think he's either going to walk on his own mission, you know, it'll be like, I've done what I needed to do at Liverpool. I can't do anything else now, you know, and go. I mean, there'll be plenty of clubs out there that will happily take him in, or
Right.
he'll get fired. I think that's probably going to be one of the two things. I think this Arsenal result has put some paper over a crack. I think that's all it's done. It's kept him in a job for an extra week or two. But I don't want to say I don't really see him being there next season, because he might be there next season. But I think he will probably walk away if he doesn't do well this season, because I don't think he wants to tarnish his reputation that he's built.
Interesting. Yeah. A lot will be remain to be seen, and as to whether or not Jurgen Klopp would become another member of the record sacking season. But moving on to another club that is punching well below its weight this season, although they are doing okay in European football, and that is Chelsea Football Club. They have spent a gargantuan amount of money over the course of the summer and January transfer windows. And last weekend, again, flattered to deceive that they were a Premier League football team despite the value of that squad.
I mean, this is somebody. I think we need to get in touch with Tom Bowley personally and get him to come on and do our football manager challenge, because I'm sure that's what he's doing in real life. How much is it? 500 million they've spent this season. What have they got to show for it? Yes, they've got some fantastic players. Enzo Fernandez is going to be a world beater. He's amazing. But what are any of the players doing this season? They're missing a goal scorer. They signed Aubameyang, and how many times has Aubameyang actually performed in a Chelsea shirt? I can probably count on one hand.
That is a good question. And is he even in? So was he even in the circulation at the end of the Potter era? I think he was. They were putting Kai Havertz up the top.
This is what I mean. They've got strikers that they can play, but they'd rather play Kai Havertz, who, don't get me wrong, he can score goals, but he's not a striker. He's never been a striker in his career. He's always been that attacking central midfielder, and that's where he plays his best football.
Let's just kind of get a bit of a reality check for a minute. In goal, they have Kepa, who they spent a fortune on a number of years ago, and they have Mendy as their kind of other goalkeeper. James, I think he is homegrown. That's fair enough. Fofana, who cost more than Maguire. They brought in Koulibaly to be the kind of senior head to kind of manage things when they didn't have Silva available to them. Cucurella, or Joe Wicks Light, as I like to call him, who cost them an absolute fortune as well. Then they have a homegrown player, right, in Gallagher, fair enough. Enzo, who they brought in. Kovacic is still holding on to his spot. Joey Felix is a low move, who, apart from his red card, is doing okay for them. And then they brought in Raheem last summer from City. But on that bench then, right, you've got the likes of Christian Pulisic, Mudryk, who cost him an absolute fortune in the January window, Zakiri, who was brought in for God knows what last summer because he hasn't been used at all, hardly. And then, on top of that, then they have Ben Chilwell, Aubameyang. Like, the embarrassment of riches that they have is crazy.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, Dennis Zakaria, I think he was linked to United. And I think that's why Chelsea went for him, because he was linked to United. He's not really been given much time at all on the Chelsea. I'd kill for some of those players that they've got. I really, really would at United. In the midfield, I think Kovacic would do a fantastic job. Zakaria, I think he'd do a great job. Mason Mount, N'Golo Kante, Hakim Ziyech. There's all these players. They've got abundance of talent ready, just there, waiting. And it seems to be either, managerial favourite or Todd Bowley 11 at the minute.
Very true. And now, before we go to the last topic of the night, I do want to ask you, when you look back at the story of Chelsea's season and the significant milestones that contributed to where we are today, was Todd Bowley's sacking of the current Bayern Munich manager, Thomas Tuchel, going to be looked back on as the biggest face palm of the season?
I think you've got to say yes to that. I mean, obviously, we broke the news that Potter was taken over and that Tuchel had been let go. I don't understand how you can sack a manager that did so well in his short stint of his first season. You know, we got to what were it, Champions League semi
You
or
won
final.
Champions League.
Well, there you go. One champ. How many teams do you know that their owners go, well, you won Champions League. You were only here for a couple of months, but you won the Champions League last season. Bye. There's your P45. Who in the right frame of mind does that?
I think the only team that I've ever heard something so ridiculous was Real Madrid sacked back-to-back league-winning manager at one point, and you're kind of going, what?
It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I think Thomas Tuchel, yeah, okay, he didn't have a great start to the season. That's fair enough, but you know, he showed that he had the ability to get the best out of his team. They've just won the Champions League, which isn't an easy thing to do. You know, many teams have tried. Go and ask PSG how easy it is to win the Champions League, and they'll tell you.
Interestingly, here's a stat. No, it's very hypothetical, and it completely and utterly ignores the progress of other teams in between them. But one of these mat nerds went along and went, okay, if Everton win 4 of their next 8, and if Chelsea lose 4 of their next 8, Chelsea will be below Everton in the table, apparently.
It doesn't surprise me. It really, really doesn't. I mean, like I said, Potter, this job was probably a little bit too of a high step for Potter. You know, maybe he should have gone. I mean, he did fantastic well at Brighton, but to jump from Brighton to Chelsea is a massive jump. You know, they could have put him in somewhere like a Spurs or something, you know, as like a little step up. No disrespect to Spurs, but, you know, the jump from a Brighton to a Spurs isn't as big as a jump from a Chelsea to a Brighton to a Chelsea, you know.
Fair enough. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Opinion.
Right? Obviously, we had a serial winner, legendary figure, father of Manchester United Football Club, more recent father of Manchester United Football Club, obviously Sir Matt Busby and a few others, are very important figures to our club. We went from that to one David Moyes. Is it fair to say that Mr. Potter at this stage is this era's David Moyes?
Yes. Yes, I honestly do think it is. Again, the Moyes jump was too much of a jump. And that was their downfall. You know, they've come from a team where they knew everything. You know, it wasn't exactly a massive club where they've come from. Yes, it's a big club because it's in the Premier League, but none of the players have massive egos. You know, they're not all this and all that. The player power isn't really there. When you come to a team like Manchester United or a Chelsea or a Spurs at some point and stuff like that, you know, the expectations and everything are a lot bigger, and the people above them are a lot more ruthless.
Absolutely. Now, we are coming to the last topic, and I want to thank everyone in the chat for joining us tonight. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate all your support. But I'm going to transcend by doing a very obvious guess the player, because you already know the answer. This player slipped in the Champions League penalty shootout in 2008 to hand victory to Manchester United Football Club.
Oh, that's a hard one. It's very hard. It's very hard. I might need another clue.
He is not very well affectioned to a person with the surname Bridge, even though he played.
Yeah, John Terry, yeah.
That's the fella, yes. We had the news that came out yesterday. Leicester City Football Club have appointed Dean Smith to take over as gaffer. But it's the ride-alongs that have me left scratching me noggin, because Craig Shakespeare Tottenham bluffer extraordinaire, and John Terry are part of that coaching ticket. Now, in fairness to Terry, I think the Villa staff were very impressed with his on-field coaching ability because obviously, in fairness to the guy, he was a captain in the true sense of the word on the pitch for Chelsea. But how much of a risk to Leicester's Premier League status does this appointment represent?
This is a massive risk, a huge risk. I mean, okay, he was at Aston Villa as the assistant manager. Do you know what he's been doing since then?
Nope. I presume sitting on his couch listening to us.
No. Is it a part of the academy staff at Chelsea?
Okay.
So he's been working with the youth squads at Chelsea. He doesn't say he's been a coach there. He just says academy staff member. That's what he's doing. And now he's going to Leicester under Dean Smith, who I don't really rate anyway, to be honest with you. I think things have just got from bad to worse for Leicester.
So, in terms of survivability, are Leicester now firmly in the target zone to be returned to the Championship?
Well, Leicester are 19th?
They are currently 19th on 25 points.
Yeah, and their next game is Manchester City away from home,
which they're not winning.
No, I'm just looking at their things. Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of the fixtures. They're going to need a miracle. They really are. I think it's so long to Leicester enjoy Championship football next season.
So, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm just going to do a quick, brief relegation prediction, and I will also give my 3 updated. Obviously, Southampton roots to the bottom of the table, 23 points. Leicester, we both agree, I think, at this stage that they're doomed. Nottingham Forest, 27 points. Everton, 27 points. Leeds, 29 points. And Bournemouth on 30. I'm going to assume West Ham, Wolves, and Palace have sufficient squad to avoid being involved in the nitty-gritty at the end. But who is joining Leicester in the Championship next season?
Well, obviously, Southampton are going down. That's an obvious one. I'm going to say Forest. Nottingham Forest. Don't score enough goals. Ship too many. You know, and when you actually have a look at the remaining fixtures that they've got, they're playing Manchester United on Sunday. Then they've got Liverpool, then Brighton, then Brentford, and Southampton, who are going to be fighting to try and claw out, of the situation they're in. Chelsea, Arsenal, and then Palace. So they're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are all trying to get up and around the European spots.
Point of order, though. Everton have actually scored a goal less than them.
They have. I'm not going to take that away. Everton have scored a goal less than them, but I do believe Everton's fixtures are slightly more favourable. So they play Fulham, Palace, then they've got a hard game against Newcastle, then they play Leicester,
Brighton, City, Wolves,
Bournemouth. So I see Everton picking up more points than what Forest do, just out of those games. Even if they can get 1 or 2 points, I still see Everton picking up more draws or the odd win that might shock a few people, Then I can't see Forest picking up a win again for the rest of the season, if I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe Southampton.
Absolutely. Well, Colin, we have gone through a wide range of managerial issues this evening. It is a Champions League night, and there are probably people now saying, come on, lads, kickoff's approaching. But before we do go, I'm going to lash you up onto the big screen, and can you tell the folks what's coming up over the course of the rest of the week?
Yes, we have the Mullet Show coming up very, very short. I think that's coming up tomorrow 8:30. So do stay aware, stay tuned. Hit your notification bell and all that jazz. That'll let you know when we go up and live. Obviously, there's loads of watch-alongs coming up. Football is everywhere at the minute, so we will be doing watch-alongs. Bobby will be taking care of them for us. Obviously, go check out our other channels as well that we're associated with, the Man United Agenda, Armory TV, Cop Talk, the Spurs channel, Paxton Road. There you go, there's that one as well. Go check them out. Bunch of great people, all love talking football. And yeah, we'll be back when we're back, to be honest with you.
Thanks very much, Colm. Now, obviously, there was VAR issues, but I am going to go to a booth review today. I do want to thank you again, once more, for joining me today. But from us on the lounge, we will see you again next week.